The most frequent and usually the very first question most people ask me when I tell them that I've lost 70 pounds through intermittent fasting is, isn't fasting starving yourself? Why don't you just eat fewer calories like most weight loss programs advise you to? Well, in this video, I'll tell you the difference between eating less food and eating no food and what it does to your body. Welcome to the Liz and Skatz channel. Hi, I'm Skatz and I'm an ageing musician with a new zest for life because with my wife Liz, who is a clinical holistic therapist, we've beaten my type 2 diabetes and lost over 110 pounds in weight between us with a keto and fasting lifestyle. And because we're science geeks as well as soft-hearted, slightly hippie eccentrics, we've done tons of research to find the best and most scientifically tested facts so we can share it with you in a clear, understandable and hopefully light-hearted way. So help us to help you by doing this. Subscribe, and click on the bell. Hello Keto Bonitos, fasting friends and all interested bystanders. Welcome to my concise little video which answers your biggest question. Fasting versus low calorie. Which one is starving you? Well, let's find out, shall we? And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments below so we can carry on building knowledge together. First of all then, a lot of the evidence you read about fasting is anecdotal. In other words, it's based on people's experiences rather than the peer-reviewed scientific lab tests. But fasting has been the subject of human testing for decades, way back to the 1940s at the very least. So when you combine that with the mountains of anecdotal evidence, which is also valuable because of its sheer volume and because it actually agrees with the official testing, it's clear that we can answer this question fully and factually. Now, it's well documented that very different things happen to your body when you stop eating food compared to when you eat fewer calories. When you eat a much reduced calorie diet, testing has proved that your body prepares itself for starvation by storing energy inside. Basically, your body slows down. It reduces your metabolism, and that means you don't lose very much weight quickly in the form of fat. And because your metabolism is reduced, your basal metabolic rate, that's your BMR, is reduced too. So the amount of calories you need to eat less than to lose weight is reduced also. So then you have to further reduce what you eat, which reduces your BMR again, and so on. But what also happens is that you lose muscle mass as well. So you tend to feel weaker. So any physical activity you have to do to lose weight feels more difficult. And you don't want to exercise, so it's more tough to keep it up. And you also feel a constant hunger. And in many of the scientific experiments I've read, it was recorded that people were thinking about food all of the time. And they were even prepared to steal food and lie about it. When you have that small amount of food to stave off the gnawing hunger, all that it does is make you feel a little less hungry. So you're still hungry all of the time. So why is that? And isn't it worse when you eat nothing at all? Well, this hunger you feel has a lot to do with carbohydrates. The sugars that they produce burn really quickly, and then you have an energy crash, and your body signals for more food by producing a hunger hormone. And if you normally eat a high carb diet and just restrict yourself to maybe 800 calories a day or less, you won't have enough blood sugar to keep you in the comfort zone. You'll dip below that line quickly and you'll feel hungry most of the time. And that's really difficult to sustain. You'll recognize these symptoms. You get tired and irritable and unable to concentrate. These are all the signs of low blood sugar. It's no surprise then that you have trouble keeping to a reduced calorie diet. The chances are that you're also eating foods that contain very little fat, and that makes it taste bland. So sweeteners and artificial flavourings will have been added to give it more taste, which makes it more processed, and that means that not only are you getting fewer calories, you're getting fewer real nutrients from real food, and you're going to be deficient in something which could cause you problems. That doesn't sound good for you, does it? Now let's look at what happens to your body on a fast. When you stop eating altogether, after about, say, 12 to 16 hours, you've burned up the energy stores in your liver. Your body goes into ketosis, where you start burning fat instead of glucose as your primary source of energy, and your body starts producing ketones. Now, I'll talk about those more in a minute. As I said before, there's a hormone that makes you feel hungry. The hunger you get when fasting, it's not like the permanent gnawing hunger of starvation that you get on a reduced calorie diet, because fat burns slow and long and regular. So you don't get the spiky peaks and troughs of blood sugar and insulin that trigger the hunger hormone, you see. Instead, you get 2 or 3 more gentle peaks, and usually these are at the times when you would normally eat. Ironically, you might actually feel the least hunger in the mornings, when you've been fasting the longest overnight. And when you do get hungry, the hunger eases off naturally after a fairly short time, anything from 20 minutes to 2 hours, depending on your diet and metabolism and 1 or 2 other factors. You just have to be patient, really. These periods of hunger become less pronounced the longer you fast, and on prolonged fasts of 3 days or more, some people can stop thinking about food altogether. But even on daily intermittent fasts, when you're only fasting for up to 20 hours, in my experience, well, there's no real problem with hunger. At its worst, it's easily manageable with a good drink of water and maybe a bit of Himalayan salt for minerals. That always works for me. Now, earlier on, I talked about the other effects of reducing calories. So that was the reduced muscle mass, tiredness, weakness, and the lack of concentration. Well, with fasting, there's no real muscle loss at all. Certainly not to begin with. As long as you have some fat stores in your body for you to use as energy, then you're okay. Your body won't need to reach for the energy stored in your muscles. It's only on really, really prolonged fasts that becomes an issue. And in my experience, I just feel great when I'm fasting, and I can still be physically active. And that's what other people have reported too. And that's what testing has proved. So, do you never get tired or weak when you're fasting? Well, I would say certainly not when you're intermittent fasting. When I've done the 3 or the 4 day fasts, I've experienced a feeling of lightness, maybe some wobbliness at times, and even a bit of dizziness if I get up too quickly after not moving for a while. So I'm always careful not to do anything too taxing at those times. It's very easy to avoid. But at the same time, I can still do all of my usual gentle exercises and the weights. The advice I've heard from the sort of people who do lots of weight training in fasting is to cut down your weights to an absolute minimum when you're on a long fast, and use the time in between fasts to tone back up again. And I have to say that because you also get a shot of endorphins at times when you're doing long fasts, you don't really feel like doing high intensity training. So I personally would recommend mostly taking it easy, meditate, listen to music, go for walks, and enjoy the experience. So, what about lack of concentration? Well, this is where fasting comes into its own because of the ketones. I said I'd come back to this. So, your body produces ketones when you start burning fat for energy, which gives your brain a regular supply of what it needs to be clear and bright. The fact is, people who are fasting are able to carry on doing mental tasks for longer and be able to concentrate better. We don't get the sugar crashes that you get on reduced calorie diets. Ketones are long-lasting and efficient, just like the fat that you're burning for energy. Now, this all makes a lot of sense when you think back to our long-distance ancestors who would go out hunting for days without food. Their bodies were clever, and ours are too. They needed to be alert for the hunt. Fasting was very natural to them. They weren't starving, they weren't weak, and when they did eat, it was natural, high fat, high protein, which sustained them for a long time. The fact that life expectancy wasn't very high back then wasn't because of food choices and lack of fitness, that's for sure. But that's a whole other video. So, in conclusion, the answer to the question, is fasting starving yourself, is no. Should you be reducing your calories instead? Again, no. But look, I'm generalizing. There are some people who seem to thrive on high carb foods and have some success on reducing their calorie intake and exercising lots to reduce weight. And I say, if it works for you, good for you. But I just don't think it's sustainable for most people in our affluent Western consumer-driven society. The proof of that is in the obesity figures. In places, it's 3/4 of the population who are either overweight or obese or morbidly obese. It's costing society billions in healthcare every year in every wealthy country. Anyway, I'll get down off my soapbox now and say thank you for listening to the end of this video. If you've gained some knowledge or insight from this video, then please click on the like button and share the heck out of it. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell. Ding! So that you can be the first to know when we have a new video coming out. Also, join us every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. GMT for our live stream. Talk to us in the comments below, and also check out our affiliate links and our Patreon site in the description below. Above all, peace and love to all of you from Liz and myself, and we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.